Imagine you rule the world, not part of the world, all of it, from the hot deserts of Egypt to the cold mountains of Central Asia, from the blue waters of the Mediterranean to the wild rivers of India. You have millions of soldiers. You have rivers of gold. You have kings who bow before you. Every morning they bring you gifts. Every evening the sun sets on your land. Now soften your voice. Now imagine losing all of it. Not slowly, not quietly, but suddenly, in fire, in dust, in silence. This is the story of Persia, a land of impossible power, deep beauty, and long, long memory. And it is still alive today.
Welcome back, my friend. Close your eyes for just a moment. Picture a great road. It stretches for thousands of kilometers. It crosses mountains and rivers and empty deserts. Soldiers walk on it. Traders carry silk and spices. Messages travel faster than horses can run. This road connected a whole world, and one empire built it. Tonight, we travel back in time. We go to ancient Persia,
a place that many people have forgotten, but a place that changed everything. This is not just history. This is a human story, a story of ambition, of love, of pride, and of loss. A story that begins more than 2,500 years ago in a land that we now call Iran. Sit with me. Let us begin. The year is 559 BC. A young man walks in the hills of southern Persia. His name is Cyrus. He is not yet famous. He is not yet king. He is just a young man with a fire in his eyes and a question in his heart. Why do we obey others? Why can we not be free? His people, the Persians, lived under the rule of the Medes, a stronger tribe from the north. The Persians paid taxes. They followed orders. They were not free. But Cyrus was different.
He was patient. He watched. He listened. He waited. He was born into a royal family, small but royal. His grandfather was a Median king. His father was a Persian chief. He grew up between two worlds. He understood both. That was his first great power. Cyrus was not a man who shouted. He was a man who thought. And slowly, quietly, he began to build. He offered respect. He did not promise gold. He promised something more powerful, dignity. He told his people, "You are not slaves. You are Persians. Stand up." And they stood up.
In 550 BC, Cyrus made his move. He fought against the Median king, Astyages, his own grandfather. It sounds like a betrayal, but for Cyrus, it was a liberation. The battle was short. The Median army did not fight hard. Many soldiers changed sides. They joined Cyrus because he did not destroy. He did not punish. He offered peace. He walked into the Median capital without burning it. He took the throne without violence. The people were surprised. This was not how conquerors behaved. This was different. This was Cyrus. And then something happened that changed history. Cyrus looked north. He looked west. He looked east. He did not see enemies. He saw possibilities. In just 10 years, he built the largest empire the world had ever seen. He conquered Lydia in the west, the kingdom of the richest man alive, King Croesus. He walked into Babylon without a war. The people opened the gates for him. He was 30 years old. He ruled 10 million people. But something changed. Power changed him. Or did it? Maybe power only showed who he truly was. In 539 BC, Cyrus entered Babylon. The city was enormous. The walls were higher than any in the world. Inside lived people of many nations, slaves, prisoners, exiles, people who had lost their homes, people who had forgotten what freedom felt like. The air was thick and warm. The streets were silent. Thousands of people stood and watched the Persian soldiers march in. And then Cyrus did something no conqueror before him had ever done. He set the slaves free. He let the Jewish people return to Jerusalem. He let other exiles return to their homelands. He told them, "Go home, rebuild your temples, live your lives." He wrote these words on a clay cylinder, a small object like a tube of clay. Today, it sits in the British Museum in London. Historians call it the first human rights document in history. He wrote, "I am Cyrus. I do not force people to change their religion. I do not destroy their homes. Every man is free." The crowd in Babylon was silent. Then someone began to cry. Then someone began to cheer. And then thousands of people raised their voices together. This was not just a king. This was something new in the world. After Cyrus, his son Cambyses continued the empire. Then came Darius the Great. Under Darius, Persia reached its highest point. He built roads, thousands of kilometers of straight, smooth roads. He created a postal system. A message could travel from one end of the empire to the other in just 15 days. This was the ancient internet. He built a new capital city called Persepolis. The buildings were enormous and beautiful. Tall stone columns, wide staircases, walls covered in carvings of lions, soldiers, and kings. Every year, people came from 50 nations to bring gifts and pay respect. Darius organized the empire into regions called satrapies. Each region had a local leader, but Darius controlled the money, the army, and the law. It was complex. It was modern. It was genius. He even tried to connect the Nile River in Egypt to the Red Sea, an early version of the Suez Canal. Persia was not just powerful. Persia was advanced. But power always has a price, and the price was coming. The empire was growing, but so was the distance between the king and his people. The kings of Persia began to live inside walls, beautiful walls, walls of gold and silk and perfumed gardens, but still
walls. They stopped listening. They started trusting the wrong people. Palace advisors whispered in royal ears. Brothers fought over the throne. Betrayal became normal. And the soldiers, brave men who once fought for dignity, now fought only for pay. Xerxes, the son of Darius, was a great builder, but he was not a great leader. He invaded Greece with the largest army the ancient world had ever seen, hundreds of thousands of soldiers. He burned Athens. He watched from a golden throne as his ships sailed into battle. And then his navy lost in a narrow sea channel against a much smaller Greek force. He sat on his golden throne and watched his great fleet sink into the sea. The air was full of smoke. The water was red. His generals said nothing. His soldiers said nothing. And Xerxes, the great king, ruler of the world, said nothing. He was victorious, but ruined, powerful, but broken.
He returned home, but something in him never returned.
150 years passed. The empire still stood, but it was tired. The kings were weaker. The borders were shrinking. The gold was running out. Then came a young man from the west, a man with bright eyes, wild hair, and an impossible dream. His name was Alexander, Alexander of Macedon. He was 22 years old when he crossed into Persian territory. He won battle after battle. He moved like fire. In 330 BC, his army marched into Persepolis, the great capital, the heart of the Persian Empire. The city was full of treasure, full of history, full of memory. That night, there was a celebration. There was wine. There was music. There was laughter. And then someone, we do not know who or exactly why, started a fire. The great palace of Persepolis burned through the night. The tall columns turned black. The carvings of lions and kings melted in the heat. The treasure rooms collapsed. By morning, the heart of the Persian Empire was ash. Alexander watched the fire. It is said he felt regret, that the next morning he was quiet, that he walked through the ash and said nothing. The greatest empire in the world was gone, and the silence that followed was very, very loud. But here is something important. Persia did not disappear. The people stayed. The language stayed. The culture stayed. The memory stayed. Over the next centuries, new empires rose on the same land. The Parthians, the Sassanids, the Safavids. Each one remembered Persia. Each one carried something of it forward. The Persian language, Farsi, survived for 2,500 years. Today, more than 100 million people speak it. In Iran, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan. In poetry, in songs, in daily life. The great poets of Persia wrote words that still move people today. Rumi wrote about love and the soul. Hafez wrote about beauty and mystery. Omar Khayyam wrote about time and choice. These poets are not forgotten. They are read more today than ever before. And in the 20th century, after oil was discovered, after revolutions and wars and changes of power, the country called Iran stood on the same ancient ground. Different name, different government, but the same mountains, the same rivers, the same memory. The Persian Empire fell, but Persia never truly ended. Some things are too deep to burn.
In 1979, a journalist visited the ruins of Persepolis. She stood at the top of the Great Staircase, the same staircase where kings once walked. The columns were still standing, broken but standing. She put her hand on the ancient stone. The stone was warm from the sun. She looked out over the empty plain, and she thought about all the people who had stood on this same stone, kings and soldiers and slaves and poets, people who loved and feared and hoped and lost. And she wrote in her notebook, "This place remembers everything." She was right. Some places do not forget. They hold the memory of the people who walked there. They hold it in the stone, in the soil, in the wind. Persia holds its memory like that. And today, millions of people carry that memory inside them, in their language, in their food, in their music, in their names. What does this story mean? It means that greatness is not permanent, that empires fall, that gold melts, that stone burns. But it also means something else. The things that are truly important, language, culture, stories, values, these are harder to destroy. These go deeper than walls and armies. Cyrus gave the world a new idea that power can be gentle, that a king can be kind, that strength does not have to mean cruelty. That idea is 2,500 years old, and it is still radical today. Maybe that is the real legacy of Persia. Not the gold, not the roads, not the size. The idea that people deserve dignity, that every person, no matter where they come from, deserves to go home.
Now, I want to speak to you directly, as a person learning English. You just listened to 15 minutes of history in English, and you understood. That is not nothing. That is real. Learning a language is like building an empire. You do not build it in one day. You build it one word at a time, one sentence at a time, one story at a time. Some days feel slow. Some days feel impossible. But every day something small is added. Cyrus did not conquer the world in a week. He was patient. He was consistent. He showed up every day. You are doing the same thing. You are showing up. Keep going. Your language is growing. Your world is expanding. And every story you understand becomes a stone in your own great staircase. You are building something real. If this journey meant something to you, if it made you feel something or taught you something, then come back. We have more stories waiting, more voices from history, more moments where everything changed. The next story is already ready, and it is just as human, just as powerful. We will travel together again soon. Until then, keep listening, keep learning, keep going. The road is long, but you are already on it.